sometimes, at least with me, I'm not the most proficient keyboard player. I like to play around with some keys. I like to do some melodies, and I think that's a really cool thing when you are making music. I don't like to use too much my mouse. I prefer to use the keys, or at least get an idea of what I'm going to play. And I just play whatever it comes out, and then I always quantize my notes, either manually or with a tool. So let's go jump into FL Studio so that I can show you what I do for quantization. So let's say that I have here a, let's do a piano just for sake of it. This is probably a little bit too fast. Let's go with 90. And let's, I'm probably not going to play anything very interesting, just some the 2 scales of C, and then a C minor. So let's play something like that, so just to get an idea of what I mean with quantization. So if I now enable recording, you can see that I have this enable recording automatically, and this is because I have my Arturia Keylab 61, which has some transpose controls. And you can also hit here and do notes and automation if you just want to play or record some MIDI. And another thing that I like to do is put here the 4 bars at least, and put this in song mode, because if you do it in pattern mode, you will only get like 1 bar and then it will repeat, and sometimes it can break your rhythm. So let's play something here. Let's have the metronome on, and let's see what I can come up with here. Okay, something very simple, nothing too crazy. And if I zoom in, start zooming here, you see that this is all, some are closer, some are very far away, like this one. And what else? For instance, this one is kind of close. This one is pretty much on point. This one, actually, this one is the most on point. But you can see it's all a little bit off. This one is a mistake. And you can see that as I go later, this kind of looks a little bit off. If I play this, sounds good, but as you can see, it's kind of sounds like amateur. It's not very tight, and of course, because I'm not the most prolific player, I just like to play stuff in the keyboard to get a feeling, and then I go back and quantize. So what I do for quantization, sometimes in this case, what I like to do, if I have stuff like this, I like to keep these imperfections here. And this is the stuff that is hard to do if you have a mouse, or if you place the notes with a mouse. As you can see, it's always all perfect in the right position, but I like to have these variations here. This makes the song or the melody that you are playing a little bit more organic and a little bit sounding better. So what I like to do basically is just select the notes. I can go to none there in the scale, and then I just, or in the snapping, sorry, and then I just move notes around. I can do this manually, but this can sometimes take a little bit of time if you want to do. So let me just do this for the first ones, and I don't like to always put it on time. I like to give it a little bit of a difference. Some I put on time, others I put a little bit off, so we can still have some type of swing. So for this one, I'm going to do it manually, and for the second part, I will do it with a tool, automation. Not automation, but with a tool that will help us speed up this. So as you can see now, it's a little bit more in time, something like that. And as you can see, if I zoom out, they seem all in position. So if I play at least this part here, the first part. So we still get a little bit of those variations, like whenever I don't hit the notes exactly at the same time, and that makes it a little bit more human. And also here the timings, as you can see, or the volume, the velocity of the notes are not perfect. So this can also give a little bit of human feel to your recordings. So let's do this part here with the tool. So what I like to do is select the notes that I want to quantize. And then there's a shortcut, but you can also go here to the wrench, which is the tools. And there's several options here. You can do quick quantize, and this will quantize without showing any menu or something like that. So if we do Control Q, as you can see, this automatically, or it should quantize based on the grid. So let's put this in step mode and let's do quick quantize. And as you can see, this goes very, very precise and also quantize the end of the notes. And based on your snapping or snap to grid mode, you can do that. So let's do Control Z to get back the notes, and I can go, for instance, to 1/4. Oh, actually, let's go to 1.5, like that, and it will quantize in the entire one. So if I do again quantize, you see that now it's very in the grid. So let's listen. Very perfect, but sometimes that's not what I'm looking for. Let me put in step mode, and let's do this again, and let's listen to see the difference. As you can see, in this one is all very tight and always a little bit more mechanic, and this one has a little bit more feeling, and I prefer that feeling of the first part than the second one. The best way to do this, I would say, is with the Quantize tool. You can see it's Alt Q. So let's do the shortcut Alt Q, and now it shows these red lines here, and we have some options here for the strength. We can also do some template. I will keep the template as the default one, but we have strength, and here says the starting time. So I can quantize the starting time all to 100%, or I can loosely do some quantization. So I can put 0 and it will give no quantization. But if I want to just quantize maybe, let's say 90%, this will quantize, but it will not do a 100% shift of the notes, which is really, really nice. So let's maybe zoom in a little bit in some sections here. This one here, as you can see, has some notes on point and some others off. So let's do that again. And as you can see, 100% will quantize directly into that red line. If I start removing a little bit, maybe 90 or 80, like that, you see that now we still have the notes closer than if it was no quantization, but we can see that it's moving the notes closer and closer as we add more quantization. But as you can see, I lost again that difference here in the beginning of the notes, which, as you can see, this difference, for instance, and this one. And I would like, maybe this one is a little bit too much, but I would like to keep that. So that's why I usually do this by hand. I move the notes by hand and I do not quantize. I do quantization when it matters, which is mostly for kicks and basses. So whenever I have a kick, I would like my kick to be really in time and my bass to also be in time, because that can create some phasing issues. So, but here in the piano, I like to keep these variations to give the melody a little bit more human feel and human vibe. Okay, but let's assume that I want to do a very tight quantization. Let's go on 100%. Then we have here the sensitivity, and this only matters when you don't have 100% here. So let's go maybe to 80, and then let's move the sensitivity. As you can see, this will move some of the notes around. So you can play also with the sensitivity to make sure that you are in one or the other line there. And then you can also quantize the duration. So in this case, I'm leaving the original duration, but you could put leave end time. And you can also do quantize duration, which will make sure that the note is step, because we selected here in the snap to grid. And of course, we can always make this duration different. And we can also quantize the end duration and the end time. I like to leave the duration. If I don't, I like to keep this variation here to make the track a little bit more interesting. And then we have levels. The levels already are different. You can also quantize that. The velocity, or actually this is the panning, sorry. We can also quantize the velocity. In this case, it's not doing anything because it's all correct. And let's do accept. And let's play this part. So this part here, the third and fourth parts are a little bit more tight, and it all depends on what you expect from the track. Sometimes you might want to have a tighter quantization. Sometimes you want a looser quantization. And let's see how I would do it in this case. So let me see, maybe this one would go a little bit more like that. This one, I can put it like so. Let's, by the way, put this in none. So this one is a little bit off. This one is way off. Let's do something like that. This one too. And maybe make it a little bit more in time. Okay. This one is a little bit, it's way off. So we can move this one here. This one also. As you can see, it's a little bit of extra work, but it will maintain the original vibe that you played. And that's sometimes what you are looking for. So let's listen now. And by the way, let me copy just one here so that this is pretty much the same. Okay, let's hear from the beginning. Okay, and that's pretty much it, how you do quantization, or at least how I do quantization in MIDI. It's very easy, and yeah, sometimes I prefer to put a little bit more extra work by quantizing by hand, but keep that human vibe and human feel of the track and not have, or the recording, and not have it very, very mechanical, because that sometimes can how can I say? It will not sound bad. It will sound always in time, but it doesn't give you that human feeling that we are looking for in our tracks.